We have reached the appointed hour to start our meeting. A quorum has been formed. Welcome to this meeting, the first meeting for this current session. This is the meeting of the panel on environmental affairs. We have to elect a chairman and a deputy chairman today. Please note that according to the Rule 77, Bracket 6 of our Rules of Procedure, members who are chairman or deputy chairman of a government advisory body with similar terms of reference to those of this panel shall not be chairman or deputy chairman of this panel. And also according to Rule 77, Bracket 7, no member shall be chairman or deputy chairman for more than one electoral panel. According to House Rules, Paragraph 22, and also the procedure, in Annex 4, the valid nomination must be made verbally by a member, seconded by another member, and accepted by the member who has been nominated in this way. Mr. Nguyen, any seconder? Mr. Siu Ka-fai has been nominated.
Yes.
Do you accept it? Mr. Ho, do you accept the nomination? Any other nomination? I nominate Mr. Chu Hoi-tik. Seconder, Mr. Hui Chi-fung. Do you accept the nomination, Mr. Chi? Yes, I do. Do I have a third nomination? All right. 1, 2, 3. No. Now we have two candidates. And so we proceed to the election process.
咁咧就而家咧就以不記名嘅方式進行投票。
This will be done through a secret ballot. I'll ask the staff to distribute to the members a ballot paper and also a chalk with a tick sign. After members have affixed the chalk on the ballot paper, the election will come to an end, and no more, I will declare so, and no more ballot paper will be distributed, and then the staff will collect the ballot papers from members. Members should deposit his or her ballot paper into the collection box, and before members have done that, please don't leave your seats. According to House Rule, each candidate will be given a number. So candidate number 1 is Mr. Junius Ho, and number 2, Mr. Chu Hoi-tik. So please affix the chalk with the tick sign along beside the number to indicate your choice. And then you should you're not required to fold the ballot paper. Please just and then you please deposit the ballot paper into the ballot paper. Have you all got a ballot paper? Okay. And so I declare the election closed at this point, and no more ballot paper will be distributed. We have distributed altogether 30 ballot papers. I'll ask the staff to collect the ballot papers now. Please deposit your ballot paper into the collection box yourself, and before you have done that, please remain seated. Now I would like to ask the nominating member to come on stage to oversee the counting process. Mr. Nguyen is the member nominating Mr. Junius Ho. And Mr. Chu Hoi-tik was nominated by Mr. Chan Chi-chin. So the two members should now come over to oversee the counting process. I think we can ask the clerk to read out the names on the ballot paper, or to announce the count. Or if members so wish, I can do it myself.
環境所以係啦，冇係啦。好，我哋有2個票箱嘅。
We have two ballot boxes. Now the ballot papers are transferred to a bigger box. Number one. 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 Number two. Number one. Number two. Number two. Number two. Number two. Number two. Number one. Altogether 30 ballot papers. Candidate number one, Mr. Junius Ho, has got 24 votes. Mr. Chiu 6 votes. So congratulations, Mr. Junius Ho. You have been elected chairman. Please come over and you can chair the meeting now. Thank you, members. Let's complete the remaining business. For the term 2018-2019, we have to elect a deputy chairman. A valid nomination has to be made verbally by a member and seconded by at least another member, as well as accepted by the member so nominated. Any nomination for members? Mr. Wu Chi-wai, Mr. Hui Chi-fung. Seconder, do we have a seconder? Mr. Chen Chi-chin seconds the nomination. Accept it? Do you accept it, Mr. Hui? Yes. Do we have another nomination? If not, I'll count to 3. 3, 2, 1. Congratulations, Mr. Hui Chi-fung. You have been elected as deputy chairman, ipso facto. Second item on the agenda. And first of all, we have a schedule of meetings. The next meeting will be held on the 22nd of October. It's a policy briefing. And then for 3 days in the coming sessions, we have to swap some dates. For example, 24th of December and also 22nd of July 2018. The dates have been changed to 19th of December, and for the July meeting, it would be advanced by a few days to 18th of July. And also for the 22nd of April meeting, it will be postponed to the 29th of April. So 3 changes to the schedule of meetings. Who would like to offer any views on the schedule of meetings? Not from you? Okay. All right, AOB. And items for discussion at the next meeting. Members should have received a paper. It's Annex 5 and Appendix 5 and Appendix 6. There is a list of outstanding issues. Altogether, there are 21 issues on the list. Anything from suggestions from the members here? Mr. Stephen Ho, well, I understand that wildlife has to be protected, but if there's a propagation of certain wildlife, there are going to be nuisances, and especially for the agricultural sector, this is the case. I'm talking about wild boars. We have seen recent reports that some foraging wild boars have injured certain people. I'd like the government to come to brief us on the management strategy. I think it's about item 7, review of wild pigs management strategies. Well, the proposed timing for this item is the 4th quarter this year. I would like to see the date advance as far as possible. But I think it will not be earlier than the 26th of November, because the meeting on the 22nd of October is reserved for policy briefing. Mr. Chu Hai-Tik, I want to propose 2 items. First of all, the IPCC of UN has just published a report on climate change, and it has proposed a new emission reduction target, and that is globally by half actually, which is much higher than the current government goals and government objectives. Secondly, I want to talk about landscaping waste generated from gardening and landscaping activities. And in the wake of the Mangkhut typhoon incident, and we haven't been able to deal with the fallen trees and vegetations so far. Let's see where when we relate this to the items on the list, perhaps under 10, item 10 on climate change. Combating climate change will be related, will be relevant. And for refuse and waste, item 18 is on the integrated waste management facilities. I understand that the contract has been awarded. And even if we are not able to discuss the project itself, we'd like to get something on the progress. Well, if we're talking about the integrated waste management facilities, well, it's a standalone agenda item. But I'm talking about the recovery of green waste or waste resulting from gardening and landscaping projects. All right, let's see how we can have some combined discussion. Mr. Chen Hakan. Thank you, Chairman. I'm concerned about the promotion of e-vehicles in Hong Kong. I understand that there's nothing on this in the list of outstanding issues. I hope we can devote some time this year to the discussion of e-vehicles and supporting facilities such as charging facilities and so on and so forth, as well as government concessions and incentives for the promotion of e-vehicles. I'll ask the Secretariat to look into this. Ms. Elizabeth Ward, I'm also concerned about gardening waste. I would like to have an item dedicated to this issue on the policy and on the future direction to take. I believe there are new approaches available. There's no need to dump everything in the landfill, and the gardening waste, the green waste, shouldn't have been dumped into the landfill. They are not waste, and also on the top they use the black plastic bags to contain the waste, which make it doubly unenvironmentally friendly.
I raised the issue of light pollution last year, but it's now number 14 on the list of outstanding items. I hope the chairman will expedite the discussion of this item. Development of smart city. I think it has to do with waste management and the overall issue of tackling climate change. So creating, a smart environment is one of the government's initiatives. I hope that the relevant policy bureau, namely the Environment Bureau, has leveraged on the latest technology to combat climate change and to improve the environment of Hong Kong. Thank you. I've heard Ms. Kwok's point regarding light pollution. According to our proposed timetable, we will discuss that in the second and third quarter of next year, but we'll try the best to bring that forward. Chairman, Tanya Chen, actually the two issues I originally intended to raise have already been covered by colleagues, namely e-vehicles and light pollution. Chairman, of course the Environmental Bureau, according to the policy address, I think based on the policy address, they will be making a briefing. And very often, after they made the briefing, there will be time for discussion. I wonder whether the Bureau will be able to use up the entire 2 hours for its briefing. Chairman, having heard the many issues of concern raised by members, I don't know whether or not we can discuss them more at our next meeting. Well, that is my suggestion, namely that we do it on the 22nd this month so that we can address the issues which we're all very concerned about. I believe Ms. Tanya Chan's suggestion is a very good one, and members will be able to see that from para 268 to 293 of the policy address, it's all about our environment. So I think we can ask the official to briefly give us a report, and then we can ask follow-up questions after that briefing. Let's see how we deal with that. Mr. Tommy Cheung, Chairman. During the last term, the government, put forward a proposal for the treatment of kitchen for food waste. But the government officials were not able to give us clear numbers. The only number they told us is that the first plant was located in 01. They spent more than $10 billion. It would deal with 200 tons of food waste, and the second one will handle 2 billion. So the government has not really come up with any update so far. I understand that later on we're going to have a visit to the first food waste treatment facility. But anyway, I don't want the government to actually put labels on myself. I don't mind and I don't care. But the WSC, I don't want the WSC to continue to actually, engage in a protracted, battle with the government. So if the department does not give us the numbers and give us the data that we ask for and beat around the bush, then I will ask the Home Affairs Bureau to really, do something about it. We're spending tens of billions of dollars. How is it that they don't come up with any clear, answers to this panel? According to my recollection, the clerk said that we've already, made the endorsement. Of course, all of us would like to properly deal with our kitchen waste. We don't want them to be dumped onto our landfills. But is it that we should approve whatever government proposes, irrespective of the cost? So even if we don't have a meeting to discuss this item, we've heard that there will be some changes. For example, when I criticize the government, for example, near Silwan is near the landfill. The town gas company has many pipes used for the collection of methane gas. Why do we need to build extra facilities to convert that into electricity? It's a very expensive project. It's even more expensive than buying power from China Light and Power. So I think it's simply wasteful. And this panel, I think, has the responsibility to ask them to give us all the relevant data so that all of us can review that. Thank you, Mr. Cheung. On the list of outstanding items, Ms. Tanya Chen, during the last term, already asked some questions, and the government has also put forward some responses. 3.2 is about the recycling centers for organic waste and the proposal to use $2.5 billion to build such facilities, and also the operation of the technology. So we would and ask the government to give us further details. If Mr. Cheung has any further questions to follow up, perhaps you can submit them in writing and then we can put them to the administration. Chairman, what I want to say is that I've already put forward many demands. The most important one being that we would demand for the relevant data, how and where would the money be spent, and also for the tender. They might have already, send out the tender. So I'd like to ask whether or not there is a price tag for each and every one of the items. Of course, they can defer that to the PWSC. I don't mind that. I will be attending the PWSC meeting, so will I be attending the FC meeting. I will ask them, I will not be satisfied until they've answered all my questions. There are two things we can do. Either they can, give us the information earlier and not wait until the PWSC meeting and still not give us the information. I will not stop pursuing them for that. Mr. Kenneth Leung, Chairman, I'd like the Chairman to actively consider for this panel to organize an overseas visit. Of course, different members are concerned about different issues. I hope the Chairman will consult members as soon as possible as to whether or not there are any items which this panel would like to go on an overseas visit. Do you have any suggestions in mind? I think last year I already raised two items. First of all, that we should visit a project involving the rehabilitation of landfills. At the PAC meeting, we had recently concluded, a report on the rehabilitation of landfills. Our department apparently has not really done a very good job in this regard. So I would like to see how we can learn from the experience of other countries. Secondly, I wonder whether members would be interested in studying how other countries actually will implement the arrangement for the for the price of electricity to be included into the grid. Thank you. I think we already have some proposals, and the clerk will give members the details later on. Regarding the rehabilitation of landfills, 13 landfills have already been rehabilitated. We have the locations of those 13 landfills. As to how public facilities are to be developed on those rehabilitated landfills, we're still waiting for some, progress. So I think we should focus on these landfills first. Chairman, I think you've misunderstood my point. At the recent PAC meeting, we've already looked at those 13 landfills. What I'm saying is that we should, look at other jurisdictions and see and conduct a study on how rehabilitated landfills are put to use and how we can learn from their experience, through such visits. Okay, the clerk will consult with members and see how we can, go forward on that. Chairman, on the list of outstanding items, we don't have any item regarding, trees which are foreign species or alien to Hong Kong. I hope that this panel would invite the departments to give us briefing on this. Yeah, I agree about these, foreign species, and how they impact on the ecology of Hong Kong. One of the trees would be the Mia carnea, which is actually, suffocating our other, vegetation. So, Chairman, there is another tree which has been imported from South America, which is very invasive as well, which is, whenever there is a storm, they would fall down. So it's very dangerous. Furthermore, they would also kill other species of trees in Hong Kong. So I hope that the department will follow up on that. We have Mr. Stephen Ho for the second round. Chairman, I left out one point earlier. Having heard other members regarding the charging for waste disposal, I have two suggestions. First of all, charges for waste disposal involves the question of implementation. Every time when the secretary comes, he did not give us any clear answers regarding implementation. When this panel discusses item, I think we should ensure that the officials in charge in the Department of Health and the Center for Food Safety can come and answer our questions. And secondly, in the policy address, I know that the government is proposing many reclamation projects, but the public has heard a lot about EIA reports, but they don't really know that much about the details. I hope the government and this panel should follow up on the content of the EIAs and the system governing such reports so that we can ensure that our environment could be protected. Now, are the EIA reports, uploaded on the EPD website? Yes. I think many members of the public have told us that the reports are only in English, but many of the affected residents simply don't know how to read such reports. As a member, I cannot afford the time to translate each and every detail to the residents. So to be fair and transparent, I think we need to, allow for discussion under the present mechanism. Of course, the content of the report is another point. Earlier on, there were certain reclamation projects and marine projects, and people are saying that they don't really protect the dolphins and they affect the fishing industry. So I think the government should explain clearly, what will work and what will not work. We need to have an open and transparent discussion so that the government can proceed with these projects in a more reasonable manner. Any other questions for the second round? Yes, Chairman, I have one supplement.
呢個電動車㗎，因為
Yeah, I'm more for an early discussion of on e-vehicles because e-vehicles are important to our objectives of emission reduction, and the government's viewpoints are somehow different from ours. There are cities which would like to replace their petrol vehicles with e-vehicles gradually. So I would like to see an early day for the discussion. And secondly, I want to talk about gore products, bear arising from bear gore.
而家世界各地啦、社會咧都有討論嘅。
And the people around the world have been talking about phasing out bear gore bladder from the market. We know that there are some gallbladder products which are taken from live bears. Are there substitutes medically available? I would like to have a discussion with the government on how to phase out, or whether we should allow the bile taken from live bears to be continued to be supplied in the market. I would also like to know how the prevalent is this in the market. I support Dr. Quat's suggestion, but I think the taking of or extraction of bile is not happening in Hong Kong. So, Chairman, you have to consider whether this should be discussed at our panel or in the food safety and environmental hygiene product. If the extraction of bile takes place in Hong Kong, then perhaps this panel is the suitable panel. Well, of course, there's no killing of elephant for the purpose of taking the thugs here, but the Policy Bureau is the Environment Bureau, and the ivory ban comes under its ambit. So maybe the extraction of bile from bears does not happen in Hong Kong, but we need to ask the experts. We need some expert advice on the state of affairs in Hong Kong and how Hong Kong can contribute to the protection of bears. A lot will depend on how busy our workload will be. It seems that there are quite a lot of items in Appendix V. So I will ask the Secretariat to look into this. Whether there's any room to insert this into the list of outstanding items for discussion. All right. The next meeting will be held on the 22nd of October, and we have offered some views on what to discuss.
如果佢哋有一啲一啲建議都可以書面通知我哋。
冇錯冇錯。嗱，我哋稍後咧，即係每年都係咁樣做嘅，就係。
And every year we would do this, and Deputy Chairman and the Chairman and the Secretariat staff will have a meeting with the Secretary for the Environment and his team. It would in mid-October or November. There will be a meeting between the two groups in November, and we would then put something into the list of outstanding items. I have jotted down what members have suggested. And if you've got anything else to suggest, please write in. We would take up the matter with the secretary in working out our schedule. All right. Anything under AOB? There's only 3 of us. All right. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.